Good morning and welcome to Live at the Legislature, where every week we discuss the bills and issues moving through the state capitol. For the House Majority's portion of the show today, we have Representative Mark Nakashima, who represents District 1, that's Hamakua, North and South Hilo on the Big Island. Representative Nakashima is also chair of the House Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs Committee. Welcome, Representative, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, James. Good to be here.
Well, let's start right out with you are the chair of the Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs Committee, and you deal with many important issues moving through this legislative session. What would you say are some of the more critical bills moving through your committee?
Well, I think this year, some of the critical bills have to do with the elections. And, last year during the elections, there were long lines at the voter centers to like 10, 11 o'clock. And so we took up a number of bills that sought to correct that, expand the number of voting centers that were available, and put some other details into things like electioneering at the end of the line, which might be a mile away, or things like that. And so also we're looking at driver's license registration. While when you get your driver's license, you automatic voter registration along with that. So there are a number of bills that we had that dealt with the elections, and hopefully it'll be much smoother in 2 years.
Yeah, nothing's more important to a democracy than a good election.
Yep.
Well, another subject is our COVID situation, and Hawaii's Safe Travels program has been credited with helping keep the COVID-19 infection rates in Hawaii one of the lowest in the countries. One bill relating to safe travels, House Bill 1286, was amended and recently passed in your committee. Can you tell us why this bill is important and what would it do?
The Safe Travels bill being proposed by the House really looks at trying to unify the rules coming into the state of Hawaii. Right now, every county has a different rule, and so it makes traveling inter-island a little precarious, but then it makes travel from the mainland almost impossible to know what's required and who's on first.
Okay.
So one of the things we're looking at is trying to be able to unify that, to require that either you have a test prior to arriving in the islands, or if you do get to the islands without a test, that you are required to have a test done, and you then quarantine for 3 days until the results are in. And so that will kind of unify the way that people and the travelers are treated when going from island to island.
I see. So it would make it easier to understand for both tourists and residents what the rules are and how they can travel to and from Hawaii.
Yes, it would. You last thing you want to do is make it to Hawaii and then end up 14 days in quarantine, and so this provides you a way out of the quarantine, and makes that unified throughout the state,
while keeping us safe at the same time. That sounds good to me.
Yes, definitely.
Well, in your district, what are some of the important issues for residents of your district? I've heard about this Waiakea Peninsula redevelopment bill, House Bill 467. Is that an important one for your district?
Yeah, Waiakea Peninsula is the Banyan Drive area in Hilo. And so it had been the resort area. It had been the area where all of the hotels were. And now there's 2 viable hotels in the area. However, the area has really suffered from aging and infrastructure needs. And so one of the things that we've been looking at is how to revitalize the area, uh, do some beautification projects, improve the sewage and water situation down there, as well as the roads. And all of those things are necessary to restore the Banyan Drive to being the visitor location for Hilo.
I see. So that's been kind of neglected over the years. Is that what has happened?
Yeah, it's been neglected. Um, I think the state is not necessarily a good landlord in terms of dealing with these commercial properties. And so, one of the things that the legislators from the east side have been really working on is how to restore Banyan Drive to its former self.
I see. Well, this is a tight budget year, and things that cost money can be limited in a year like this. What do you hope lawmakers will accomplish this session to secure public health and budget stability?
Oh, one of the things that our finance committee, finance chair has been doing is looking at all of the special funds throughout the state and seeing which of those might be reallocated to operational costs in the state, and also to avoid any unnecessary furloughs, which would just extend out the economic woes of the state into the future. And so I've been working with the finance chair to look at various special funds within the jurisdiction of my committee to make recommendations to her on what might be where the legislature might look for some additional resources to put into the operation budget.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to work out, I know. Finally, we only have 30, 40 seconds left. The Capitol is still closed this session, and all of the testimony is via Zoom. How is that working out in your committee? Are people able to testify from the neighbor islands?
Yes, there's been clamoring from the neighbor islands for years that they wanted to have access like this, and now that it's here, it's kind of surprising how little neighbor island participation we actually have. People are still sending in written testimonies as they've always done. However, the number of people that actually show up for the hearing to say their piece has been relatively low.
Well, let's hope they learn it as we go along. Thank you, Representative Nakashima, for joining us here today on Live at the Legislature.
Mahalo.
What are you doing? We have to go. I'm gonna be late for work.
It's Tuesday morning. I gotta record Live at the Legislature on Alelo. Senate and House leadership discussing what's happening at the state capitol.
So just watch it on the news tonight. Come on, let's go.
Hey, this is like getting the news before it's news. If only I could get this remote to work.
There. Can we go now?
No DVR? No problem. Watch Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. on Channel 49.